In this episode, I'm going to be showing off a few factory elements. I'll be doing another part to this tutorial soon after this video, as there's a huge variety of potential elements for factory locations. Many elements I will show off here are purely aesthetical, some do make contributions to gameplay, but they can all add a lot more life to an exploration focused map. For the purpose of this video, I have set up this basic little area here, which I will fill with a bunch of these elements to make the journey to the other side more engaging. There will be timestamps on screen for you to skip to a specific section of the video should you want to. First, I'll show you how to make the boxes that construct turrets like you see in chapter 5. These are very simple. First, create a new prop dynamic. You can type factory in the search bar and find this model called turret factory, then orientate it and place it in the position you want it to go. I will note you will need the bottom, back and top of this model covered by something, either a brush or another model. I'm making the face it sits on a no draw texture, although Valve use a concrete texture, but I feel no draw tends to work better with this model given it does extend slightly into the ground. Next, go to the model tab and select the turret factory build animation, then hit Ctrl C to copy it, then go back to the class info tab and find default animation. Use Ctrl V to paste the animation name into this spot. Next, we want to shift drag to duplicate this prop and place it back in the original. Now we change the model to Robo Arm. In the model page we can see this has 5 unique animations, so we'll need 5 arms for each of these animations. So we duplicate this arm 4 more times for the full 5. Now we fill the default animation on each of the arms with one of each animation. Once we've done that, we now want to duplicate the turret factory prop again. We go into the model browser and this time we select Welder Arm. Looking in the model tab, we can see this one has 3 unique animations, so we duplicate it 2 more times for the full 3. And we set the default animations like before, 1 prop for each animation. It might not look correct in Hammer, that's fine, it will all be synchronized in game. Next, you'll want to hide the top part of this model if you haven't already. You can use a brush and use the factory container texture on each faces, or more better suited for an environment where you'll be closer to this, you can instead use the other turret factory models. There is a closed variant, an open variant, and an ajar variant. Here I'm going to use 2 of the closed variants. Another detail you can add is a red light inside of the turret factory. You don't want it to be too bright, I go for a brightness value of 10 and place it above the turret. Next, you want to place a player clip brush around the turret factory. This is because it has no collision. If you have physics objects like cubes, you could use an invisible brush instead. Next, if suitable for your map, we'll want to kill these models when they can no longer be seen. I'm going to use this area for that, so I'll create a new trigger once here, give each of the prop dynamics a name. You can just select them all at once and give them all the same name, then in the trigger once, create a new output to the props and send the output kill. Finally, add a cube map to your map if you haven't already, then in game it should all work. Next, I'm going to show you how to make shredders. These can be used for both aesthetical or gameplay purposes. Here I'm going to use them to fill my entire floor, as the punishment for falling. Although I will note here, you will need a more spacious area to fit these shredders, although in some cases you can get away with small spaces by having some of the shredder go inside the wall. First, create a new prop dynamic. In the model browser, search shredder, pick the model for the left shredder, then duplicate it and pick the right shredder for this model. Duplicate each of them and pick the shredder left A model and shredder right A model. These are the bits that go on the sides of the shredder. Next, you can create some geometry around the shredder to help funnel items in. You can use the clipping tool to get the correct shapes. You want the surrounding geometry to be at a steep angle to make sure that items will fall. You can use this black wall metal texture for these brushes. You'll also want to create geometry for the area below the shredders to seal the map. You can use the same texture as before for the sides and use a black texture for the bottom of the shredder. Make sure the edge part of your shredder models aligns with the edge of the brushes. Now create a new no draw brush in the center of one of these shredders. You might not be able to get the perfect center, but that's fine. We just need as close as possible. Turn it into a brush entity using Ctrl T, then make it a func rotating. In flags, I'm going to have it start on and use the Y axis, and use reverse direction. If you're using a different orientation shredder, you may need to use the X axis, and if you're using a vertical shredder, you'll want to use the Z axis, which is the default when you don't check the other flags. Give it a name, I'm going to call it Shredder Rot Right. Next, I'm going to give it a blocking damage of 500. This is to kill the player if they get trapped in the shredder. You could also use a trigger hurt on top of the shredder to kill the player, but I'm just going to use this. Next, go to rotating sound and search for grind, then pick this sound. Duplicate the func rotating and place the new one at the center of the left shredder. Change the flag so that the reverse direction is off. Again, reverse direction may require the opposite checks on both shredders if using different orientations to make. Change the name to Shredder Rot Left, then parent the right shredder to the right func rotating and the left shredder to the left func rotating. In game, it now works and kills the player, but in this state it still won't do anything to cubes or turrets. Create a new trigger brush down the middle of the shredder like this, make it a trigger multiple, and in flags have it only check for physics objects. Create the new output on start touch, exclamation mark activator, self-destruct immediately. then duplicate the trigger brush and place it over the first. Clear the outputs, make the new one a trigger portal cleanser, and again only check physics objects. Create a new entity and make it a filter activator class. Give it a unique name, I'm calling it turret filter. Get the exact name of the class for the turret. You can just copy and paste it from a turret in your map and put in the filter class name. Change the filter mode to disallow entities, go to the portal cleanser, and in filter name select the filter we just set up. This will prevent the portal cleanser from fizzling turrets and instead let them explode due to the other trigger brush. And in the portal cleanser, make sure visible is set to no. In game it should all work now. Next, I'll show you how to set up a behind the scenes style elevator. First, I'm going to create the area for the elevator to go in, create a new prop static, and in the model browser search for gantry. Pick a model with one side open. Duplicate this and place it on top of the last one until you've finished the length of the elevator. Then create a new prop dynamic and search for the elevator. Find this elevator model. There's multiple versions, I'm going to use the one with railings on the sides. I'm going to raise it slightly so it's not clipping into the ground. Create a new prop dynamic and use this walkway gate frame model and position it so that it is on the very front of the elevator. Create another new prop dynamic and make it the gate model that goes with the frame. Position it so that it lines up with the hinges on the frame, and create a new nodal brush centered on the hinge. Make it a func door rotating, give it a unique name. I'm calling mine Elev Door 1. For the left door, the only flag that should be checked is reverse direction. I'm going to set the speed of the door to 200. I'm going to make the start sound this underground elevator opening sound, and use an underground elevator closing sound for the close sound. Now parent the gate prop to the door brush, then select both the brush and the prop and duplicate them. Move them so that they are connected to the hinge on the other side. For the right door, uncheck reverse direction and change the name. Reparent the prop to the new door. Next, I'm going to create a new brush behind the elevator. It doesn't matter where you place it, as you can disable solidity if needed. Make it a func move linear, give it a name, I'm calling mine Elev move linear, then use the select tool to measure the distance from the start of the elevator to the destination. In my case that's 512 units. Make that the move distance in the move linear. For the start sound I'm going to use this looping elevator sound and the matching stopping sound for the stopping sound. Make sure the move direction is set to up. Next, parent the elevator model, the two door brushes, and the door frame to the move linear. But don't parent the door models as they are already parented to the brushes which are parented to the move linear. To start the elevator, I'm going to use a trigger brush inside the elevator. Place with a decent sized gap between it and the door so the player can't escape the elevator. Make it a trigger once, create a new output on start touch, name of the door brush close. Do this for both door brushes and create another output on start touch, move linear open, with a delay of 0.5 to give it enough time for the doors to fully shut. In the move linear, add the output on fully open, name of the door brush open. Now I want to get the doors to open in the first place. You can check start open in the door brushes, but here I'm just going to use a trigger before the elevator. Make it a trigger once and have outputs to open both the brushes. Next, for a final little detail, I'm going to add this small brush at the back of the elevator here. This is like the track that it's connected to. I'm going to give it the rusty square pin texture. This brush goes from the very bottom to the very top. In game it should all work now. That's all I'll be doing for this episode, and the next part I'll be doing conveyors and more. But before I finish, I want to let you know that I now have a Discord server you can join. So if you have any questions regarding Hammer and want to ask me, that'll be a good place to ask. Especially if you get stuck following one of my tutorials. It's a far better platform than YouTube comments for discussing these things. You can also give your suggestions there for what you'd like to see in future tutorials. But obviously, if you can't use Discord for any reason, you can still use comments for these things. Anyway, I hope this helps, and see ya.